Hey guys, so we've talked about getting the best deal possible when buying a 911, and we've talked about the cost of ownership. But today, we're going to bring it full circle and talk about when's the best time to sell your 911. If you're the type that hangs on to cars for years and years and years, this video is probably not going to be for you. This is going to be geared towards people who want to buy the car, drive it a couple years, and then get rid of it and get something new. We're mainly going to talk about the newer 991 Carreras and what you need to do to minimize the financial hit when you decide to sell these cars. There's no specific formula that'll tell you when the exact time to sell a car is best, but I'm going to highlight a few different things so you guys can make a better decision on when's the best time that you need to let go of a car. Now, even though we're focusing mainly on the 911, this information is pretty universal, so you can use this on any car that you want. Maintenance and parts that wear out are going to be some of the biggest financial hits you take while owning this car. So it's best to go ahead and try to sell the car before any of the larger, more expensive services are due. The big one on 911s is every 40,000 miles. Now, the 40,000 mile service on my car costs about $1,500. But I've heard other dealers charging well over $2,000. Another large item are tires. These wear out in about 20 to 25,000 miles on these cars, and they'll run you about $2,000 to replace them. On top of that, you've got stuff like the brakes and the clutch. A clutch in this car with a manual transmission could run you over $3,000, and the brakes could be anywhere from $1,000 up to $10,000 plus, depending on if you have the ceramics and what needs done. Selling the car before any of these things are needed is going to save you thousands of dollars. Now, if the maintenance is nearly due, don't spend the money to do the service. There's no way that you're going to recoup the money spent. It's going to be much cheaper on you to just sell the car as is. Now, I'm not saying push it back 5,000 miles if the car needs an oil change or new tires or something like that. But if it's close, just go ahead and sell the car. Another big variable to pay attention to is when the new generations come out. We know that these cars take a big hit after the first 2 or 3 years, but after that, they level out and hold their value pretty well. The next big hit comes when the new generation of cars come out. What you want to do is pay attention and sell the car right before the new generation is unveiled at the big auto shows. Once that new model has been seen, everybody starts to get excited about it, and the interest in the outgoing generation goes down and drives down the price of them as well. Whatever you do not want to wait until the new generation comes out, because you're going to take a big hit if they're already out on the streets. Now, if you looked at the charts in our other videos, you do see a little bump in value around the mid-cycle refresh, but it's really not that significant, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, with that said, there's a lot to be seen with the 991 generation. Everybody knows that the .2s have the turbocharged motors in them, and a lot of the enthusiasts think that the 991.1s are going to hold their value a whole lot more because of that motor. Personally, I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. The majority of people who buy these cars aren't enthusiasts, and they really could care less what motors are in them. They're more of a fashion statement than anything else. I just don't think that the majority of people care about that motor as much as us car people like to think they do. Most people aren't going to think of taxes when it comes to selling a car, but keeping the property tax in mind could save you a lot of money. Now, each state is different. Some want you to pay property tax on cars every year, some is every few years. But if you pay attention and you know when your taxes are going to be due, if you sell the car before the taxes are owed, you could save a lot of money that way. Short and simple, sports cars, and especially convertible sports cars, sell better in the spring and early summer. Everybody wants to buy one, so the demand is high and people pay more. I'm a big fan of selling the cars in April because that's when tax returns come back and people are a little more anxious to spend their hard-earned cash on things like cars. So trading in at the dealer versus selling the car privately. This could be its own video series, but I'm going to try to keep things brief. Most people know that you're going to get more money out of the car by avoiding the middleman and selling it privately. But there's a few things that you need to consider before you do this. One big thing that people don't know about is the tax benefits of trading in a car. Now, every state's different and some don't offer this, but if you own a car outright and you trade that in, you're going to pay taxes only on the difference between your trade and what the new car is worth. So if you have a car worth $50,000 and you trade in on a car that's $70,000, you're only going to pay taxes on the difference, which is $20,000 in this example. Some states have sales tax on cars up around 8%. When you're buying and selling cars like 911s that cost a lot of money, those tax breaks can really add up and make a difference. Another good thing about trading into a dealer is that any kind of service or parts that the car needs, the dealer is going to be able to do that at a much cheaper cost than what you and I can. So they really don't care as much if a car is in the need of a service or new tires or something like that. Now on the other hand, if you're selling on the private market, I would feel obligated to tell the potential buyer that the car needed a service or tires or new brakes or whatever it was. But that's going to drive down the price that they're willing to pay considerably. The other benefit of trading over selling privately is simplicity. You don't have to worry about listing the car. You don't have to worry about taking it on test drives with different people. You don't have to worry about dealing with the money and the banks. When you trade a car in, it's simple. The dealership takes care of everything. You just give them the keys. Now the simplicity comes at a cost. Like I said, you're going to get less money at the dealer compared to what you would if you sell the car on the private market. Taking a look at the NADA guides of my car, I see a $5,000 difference between what it's worth on the private market compared to what the trade-in value is. To me, that $5,000 is going to be very tempting so that I don't have to deal with all that other headache, especially if there's a large tax break that's going to make up for a good portion of that $5,000. So if you've watched my videos, you know I'm a big fan of having a car that's under warranty. My advice, if the warranty is getting ready to run out on the car, sell the thing. Sometimes it only takes the failure of one part out of warranty on these cars to raise the cost of ownership through the roof. Personally, I think you're better off trading and getting a newer car with a warranty under it. Unless you're planning on keeping the car for a very long time, I would just trade it in before it has a chance to drain your pockets. If you take all these topics into consideration and really pay attention, you can save yourself a lot of money by trading your car at the right time. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, there's no specific formula that's going to tell you the exact best time to sell your car. But if you keep these topics in consideration and you really pay attention, you can save yourself a lot of money and really lower the cost of ownership of cars like a 911. Alright guys, so I hope you liked this video. If there's any tips or advice that I didn't mention or I left out, leave them in a comment below. I'd love to hear them. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, thanks guys.